Our nation's top healthcare officials are extremely concerned about the grave public health consequences of mass, uncontrolled cross-border movement. The workers are my number one concern. But the way we take care of the workers is we have to keep the companies going. I am fine with restricting buybacks. In fact, I would demand that there be no stock buybacks. I don't want them taking hundreds of millions of dollars and buying back their stock, because that does nothing. $45 billion for the Disaster Relief Fund, supporting our state, local, and tribal leaders. $27 billion for the development of vaccines, therapies, and other public health response efforts, including $16 billion to build up the strategic national stockpile with critical stockpiles. So you have also $3.5 billion to states to expand child care benefits for healthcare workers, first responders, and others on the front lines of this crisis, and $1 billion for securing supplies under the Defense Protection Act.
There's a little-known fact about some of the most common drugs Americans take, from antibiotics to heart medicine to antidepressants. 80% of the key ingredients used to make them come from overseas, mainly from China.
How much of our drug supply is controlled by China?
We're so dependent on China that if they shut the door on sending medicines to us, our hospitals would shut down within a couple of months.
How did we get here? How did this happen?
We got here because it's cheap, because we look at the next quarter's profits. Basically, we've outsourced our entire industry to China. That is a strategic vulnerability in and of itself.
Well, trust is everything. And do we trust?
A prominent Chinese economist suggested his country's control of the market could be used to send a message. If exports are reduced, he said, the medical systems of some Western countries will not run well.
We have to reinvest in making medicines here in the United States. For commodities like oil and food, we would never put all of our production, all of our eggs in one basket in China. We shouldn't be doing that with our medicines.
Well, the only way to regain control, Lester, is to move manufacturing back to the U.S. But experts tell us that private companies aren't going to do that on their own. They're going to need the federal government's help.
News about potentially promising, though so far scientifically unproven drugs to combat coronavirus. Johnson & Johnson says it has a promising possibility.
This is like a moonshot for us at Johnson & Johnson. What would usually take 5 to 7 years, we expect to be able to accomplish in 5 to 7 months.
Johnson & Johnson's possible vaccine will go through rigorous trials, but the company says that in the coming days, it's going to start production so that if and when they get the approval they need, it will be ready to go.
Why do you keep using this? A lot
Because
of
it
people
comes
say
from
it's
China.
racist.
It's not racist at all, no, not at all. It comes from China.